lab that created G-Funk, you know.
And that was the Peace Treaty.
Peace Treaty in 1992
in LA,
in Los Angeles.
Definitely, a place of peace and rebellion at the same time.
At the same time, exactly. Yeah. The Peace Treaty happens, and then literally a few days later is when the rebellion jumps off.
So you have all these ambivalent questions in hip hop. It's not only one thing; it's polyphacetic, which means it has different faces.
That's a word, bro. What is that?
Polyphacetic.
Damn. Okay.
It's like they have different faces, and it's like a prisma.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the dope thing about hip hop is like, you know, hip hop is all the things it was, right? So hip hop didn't start off as this movement that was like, we're gonna just be about this. It was like, let's all kind of have fun. And so everybody's finding their voice in that. And sometimes folks are saying stuff that's really ratchet, and sometimes folks are saying stuff that's really progressive, you know. So I'm leaning obviously on the progressive side and that kind of thing, but it's not to silence the folks who are all part of this crew, you know what I mean? Like, we're all in this together, and we all have to figure out a way to make it all right for everybody. So.
And on that note, there are these 10 hip-hop elements, which are DJ, MC, breaking, graffiti writing, beatbox, street knowledge, street language, street entrepreneurialism, street fashion, and the 10th, which is the new one, I understand by the Temple of Hip Hop, that it's health and wellness. So what is your insight on the 10 elements of hip hop and how we can apply it today to the very foundations of the culture?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, you know, KRS is really trying to describe a way of life. You know, hip hop as a way of life, hip hop as a way of folks figuring out how to walk in the world, right? How to be able to carry oneself proudly and with style and grace and power, right? And I think health and wellness is so key to that, because in so many ways, like, we haven't taken care of ourselves, and so we live with trauma every day, and because we live with that kind of with those kinds of things, it makes it harder for us to be able to move to the next level, to bring ourselves and our communities to the next level. So I think health and wellness is really crucial to that we find our ways towards healing, right? And we find our ways towards thinking about how we are working together to take care of the folks who need it the most, right? So that we're all well, that we're all healthy together, that it's not just individually that we're healthy and well, that our communities are healthy and well. And that's what makes a revolution right there, man. It's not about bloodshed, it's about like us changing the way that we live. And it's about us trying to figure out how to take power, right, and distribute it to everybody so that we can actually figure out like how to make this world safe and free for everybody.
In other words, if you have love for your own community and for your surroundings, then you have love for yourself and you are able to make that change.
Yeah, that's the revolution right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
And well, I wanted to ask you a question that I didn't wrote, but since we are in this revolution, social aspect of the interview right now, I wanted to ask you that the Black Panther Party actually was very secular. And was atheist from the very beginning, because they had a direct influence of the Cuban Revolution, for example, Marx and all of that line of thought, pretty socialist actually. But hip hop itself is an spiritual movement, but again, in this ambivalence of hip hop that we have talked about, how does the spiritual part of hip hop, which isn't religious, collides with the secular resistant part of the culture.
Yeah, I don't think of it as a collision, right? I mean, I think of how we hold these contradictions.
I meant by collide, I mean like coming together.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that, right? I feel like in our lives, we have to be scientific in the way the Black Panthers were. Like the Black Panthers understood, here's what power is about, right? Here's how power is being used against us, right? Here's how we can take power to share power, right?
Right.
And I think that's got to be part of the way that we look at the world, right? We can't be naive to the way that we're being treated.
No.
We can't be naive to the way that people try to divide us and conquer us, right? We have to be aware of power. We have to be scientific about that. We have to be really, really like rigorous about that, right? And at the same time, we also have to figure out how to be able to keep ourselves whole, how to be able to see each other in our wholeness, how to be able to lift up our humanity and respect and lift up the humanity in each other. And that's the spirituality piece of it, right? So if we're able to hold all of this stuff together, then man, we've got something big going on.
Wow,
we've got something that's like transcendent. It's something that is bigger than it's bigger than hip hop.
Yeah,
it's like worldwide.
And that is something to say, man. That is something to say. Bigger than hip hop, man. Wow, that's deep right there.
Yeah, brother.
Well, the second chapter of this interview is hip hop and academia, which is like a very interesting topic which I wanted to dive in.
Okay.
Sure. So how did you came up with a scholarly methodology to teach an entirely empirical branch of knowledge such as hip hop?
Well, it wasn't me. Like I am blessed enough to have been able to be entrusted with people's stories, but there's so many of us who are the keepers of stories, out there.
Yeah.
I just happen to put it together in this book. There's so many other books, and there's so many, beyond that, there's so many people who hold the stories of hip-hop. And those are the folks that we have to lift up and respect. These are people in our communities. You're one of those people as well. You're holding so much of that, right? Like I could come to you and we could talk. I could ask you so many questions about what's been happening here in your city, in your communities, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, that's sort of the way that I kind of see this, right? Like we're all trying to carry this body of knowledge about how to write, about how to get free, right? How we succeeded, how we failed, what our stories are, the amazing art that we've made. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to lift that up and move it forward. And so that's all I was trying to do with this particular book, is make a little bit of a contribution to that. The cool thing about it nowadays is that, and it wasn't like this for a long time, but nowadays, like, there are institutions that want to be able to help us preserve some of this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Not all of them want to, but some of them do. And I think it's important for us to be able to reach people all across the board. So not just in our communities, but on the campuses and the universities and all that kind of stuff, right? To be able to pass on this knowledge. So being able to do that in any way that we can do it, that's what our job is as the story keepers and storytellers.
Yeah, and also as historians properly of hip hop, what you are doing is oral history.
Yes.
It's based on interview, it's based on oral expression.
You're doing that too.
So is hip hop. So we are all in this beautiful interconnection.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
Of disciplines, of humanities that actually benefits the hip hop culture as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like hip hop taught me everything. I mean, like everything that I know, I learned through engaging with hip hop and engaging through hip hop. And so, the least that I can do is to be able to hold that and give it back where I can. And I think you feel the same way. I know that there's millions of others like us who are out there doing this kind of day-to-day type of basis. But that's how you perpetuate, good. That's how you perpetuate a culture. That's how you perpetuate advances.
Word up.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And based on your thorough work, do you think that MCing, DJ, graffiti writing, and breakdancing objectively ought to be considered as art?
Yeah, hell yeah.
If so, explain us why.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. I mean, it's all art.
Yeah.
Right? It's and it doesn't have to be in a museum for folks to be able to see it.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be fine art, although it could be.
It could be. Yeah. Yeah.
But this question I ask it particularly because I have faced in my whole hip hop career, which I've been emceeing for about 16 years now, and I've been struggling with the fact that I get to a university, for example, and there are this hardcore Eurocentric, if you will, professors of aesthetics, for example, and for that say that rap music is not music or poetry or literature, and they discredit the whole thing because one, because of their own ignorance, and two, because academia has always been like closed up.
That's right. Yeah.
To the knowledge of the African diaspora and the knowledge that
The peoples.
that became the hip hop culture that was the aftermath of these diasporas. So what would you say to those people, to those academians?
Get out of the way. I mean, like just leave. That's what I would say. You know what I mean? Like, so a lot of times, I don't really have time for those types of folks. I mean, their whole job is to try to exclude people and is to try to maintain their status. And the older I get, the less time I have for all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just got to be real.
Yeah, and that's why I ask you those questions, because it would be really important. We don't have to justify none of the things that we do. We know where we are as a hip hop culture, but in terms of academical thought, if you will, what would be like the bridges that we need to cross with them, not to just exclude them out of the way, but bring them in the boat with us.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, I mean, if people care about the expression of people, they should care about the expression of all people. Not just the people that they roll with.
Yeah.
That they roll with into the university.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, bro.
So I mean, like the best thing I can do, I think, and I have done, right? Because I was in academia for like 7 years, right? Was just to try to show examples of our excellence and our power, And at some point, it's like chipping away. Right? And sometimes people are just not going to get it. But if there's somebody who I might be able to work on a little bit and that kind of thing, to move them and stuff, it would be that. It would just be show like, this is the best of what the human race can express. And if you can't see that, keep on looking. I might give you new glasses to try to help you see that and that kind of thing with my different tools, but you can't. At some point, you can't necessarily fight folks who want to just stand in the way.
Yeah.
Just gotta tell them get out the way.
Yeah. After all, hip hop is a peace movement.
Yeah, it is a peace movement. Right. So I'm not gonna throw you over the balcony, but
yeah.
You know what I mean. I might just gently move you aside. We got work to do.
In the words of Ludacris.
Right.
Shout out to Luda, by the way.